Everyone, it's another 10 minutes with Twinkl. I'm Rachel, a home educator from Bradford. Well, not from Bradford, but I'm currently in Bradford. And we're about to interview Stacey. Now, this is the top, definitely favourite thing of my job, is just meeting other home educators and talking to them and realising that you have a lot in common, even if you've never met. So I'm about to invite her on. We're going to ask her some questions. It's just 10 minutes, so just put your feet up, relax, and get ready to listen.
Oh, hold on one moment.
Don't worry, I love it when people do that. It's my favourite way of introducing people, is
Oh,
what they're looking at.
you were looking at my son's next-sized clothes.
Oh, nice. You're doing some sorting out.
Yeah, he turned 8 on Saturday,
Oh, nice.
and he's now shot up. So he's a very awkward stage where he's got my height, but he has no waist and bottom.
Yeah, that
So
sounds like fine, yeah.
he needs like 8 to 9 in length, but he needs like 6 to 7 in waist.
It's awkward. That's why I like shorts,
Oh,
'cause then you don't have to worry too much about the length.
so awkward.
Yeah.
So awkward.
Well, happy birthday to him, and thank you so much for coming on. I'm really glad we kind of arranged it short notice, so thank you so much. Have you had a good
No,
day?
that's not a problem. Yeah, no, that's not a problem. Yeah, it's been a bit of a busy one today. It's been a bit of a mad day today. But yeah, my son's currently out with my mum at the moment, so yay.
Yeah, mine are in bed, but they're struggling to go to sleep, so they might
Yeah.
wake up. Right, I'm gonna start the timer, and then we're gonna go straight into the questions. But before I do,
Okay.
just briefly introduce who you are and who you home educate.
So I'm Stacey. I home educate a little boy called Freddie, who I've just said turned 8. We home educate due to SEN needs and needs not being met by the school. And yeah, it was just he didn't suit school life at all. So that's who I home educate. A very crazy ADHD boy.
Yeah, I know what that's like. Right, so I'm gonna start the timer now. 3, 2, 1. 10 minutes. So in 3 words, and you can expand on it as much as you like, how would you describe your home ed?
So first of all, spontaneous.
Nice.
Absolutely, very, very spontaneous. Absolutely no guide, or what's the word I want to use, routine, nothing like that. We wake up, and the most routine we have every day is getting up and having breakfast. So definitely spontaneous, very child-led. Everything is child-led by Freddie. So after we've had breakfast, it will then go on to, what do you fancy doing now? Sometimes it'll be playing trains. Sometimes it will say, can you read me a book? So whatever he does, whatever he says he fancies doing, that's what we do. So spontaneous, child-led. And sometimes, I'm going to say this word because sometimes it can be hectic, because with his brain, he wants to do everything, and he wants to do everything in one go. And the last week we've had Legoland. I live in Norfolk, so we've had the Royal Norfolk Show. We've had the Norfolk Tank Museum, and all of these things are in one go. Like, he gets messages and gets thoughts into his brain, and he just wants to do it. So I'm going to say hectic, because although we're very spontaneous, it can be so hectic at the same time as well.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm curious, do you like spontaneity? Because for some people that spontaneity would be like a nightmare, but for others it's like the perfect thing.
It was very difficult. We started home edding. Technically, we started home edding in September of 2020, but he hasn't been at school since the schools closed in March. And it was kind of the kick up the bottom that I needed, really, to home educate. But at the time, I was actually working as a preschool teacher. And I found it very, very hard to be spontaneous. I'd come from an environment where we had to log the children's daily needs, obviously through like the platform that we used. We had to link everything to the EYFS. We had to do reports. There was so much we had to do. So I had a plan in my mind of how we were going to do things. And then as I actually sat down and learnt how my son was not mainstream, if you'd like to say, it became very difficult. So to begin with, the spontaneous of it just didn't work for me. I will be honest, it was really, really difficult. In the last year, we've had a house move. And I will be honest, when we moved house last July, that really did help me to be spontaneous, because I physically didn't have the time for all of the things that I wanted to do, because obviously with having to move some of my stuff, unfortunately me and Freddie have had to move back into my mum's house temporarily. So most of my stuff is in a storage unit. So I just didn't physically have the time to do everything. So in the last year, it's actually been a very massive help to me to change my mind, change my way of thinking with my brain. But over the last few months, I found it a lot easier. And now I couldn't imagine my life before. Like how I managed a routine, or how I managed to even try and think of any kind of routines without going with the flow with Freddie. It's amazing, really. I mean, I wouldn't physically have time to even do a school run nowadays. I don't know how I would do it, but yeah, and so it's taken me a while, but now I'm a lot more accepting.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Like, I was remembering that when I was a teacher, I'd be out the house at 6:30. I'd be like setting up certain things at certain times. The bell would ring and I'd know when I could go to the toilet and have a cup of tea. Like, everything was regimented. And then now I can't imagine having to figure it out at all. And moving helped us too, and me starting work helped, because then like I had times where I just couldn't interact with them in the same way, and they really like blossomed with their autonomy during that time. So it's funny how we unlearn it, and how our body kind of unlearns it as well. Yeah, right. So, I mean, you've kind of given some hints, but what would you say were the highs and lows of the last year or so?
So the highs have been like the reaction that I've got from Freddie himself when he has achieved something that's absolutely amazing, that I know he wouldn't have the chance to like achieve if he was in school or in the school environment. He finds it so amazing when he goes off his own back and he's playing with Lego, and he'll spend hours playing with Lego, and then he'll suddenly bring it to me and like, Mummy, look what I've done, I've made this and this, and he's so proud of himself. Or he'll go outside and he'll explore the garden, and he'll come back with a bug in his hand, and he would have used the Google Lens on my phone and been like, Mummy, look, I know what this is, and stuff like that. But the lows have been me having to definitely learn about my own child, but also relearn how to play, and how much actually play. Even though I was a preschool teacher, or a preschool assistant, actually how much play, the value of play goes beyond the preschool or the EYFS stage. The amount of stuff he's learned, and I've had quite a low point was when I realised that my son isn't actually mainstream, if you like. I don't want to say anything that's going to be like offending, but like mainstream. He's meant like academically he's quite far behind. If he was in school, he would be working at year 1 level, not year 4 that he would be expected to. So an actual low point for me was wondering if I'm good enough, or wondering if what I'm doing was good enough, because he wasn't where he should be. But then taking a massive step back and thinking, actually, yes, he is right where he should be, because he's his own person. He's his own mind. He shouldn't be on a bit of paper ticking loads of boxes. He's not where he would be in school, but he's where he needs to be right now. So I think there has been a lot, thank goodness there's been a lot more highs than lows, but there's been so many wobbles from me.
Yeah.
So many wobbles.
No,
Wondering
I
if
think,
one.
yeah, I really appreciate you sharing that because it's very vulnerable, but that's exactly how everyone feels. And then we think
Mm.
that idea of being behind, and even if we can think like there's no such thing as behind, there still is a system that's been put in place by someone else that our kids don't necessarily fit into as easily, and it's really hard. But I always think like it would have been my oldest were 8, they wouldn't have even started school until last year in some countries. So I
Yeah,
think it's kind of it's so much unlearning that we have to do, isn't it? But
yeah,
yeah, I think a lot of people go through those wobbles, definitely. And we
yeah.
have only 1 minute left. So
Okay.
in that, you have mentioned this already, but I'm really curious how home ed has changed you. Obviously, you've unlearned a lot, but is there anything else that kind of you've got out of this process?
A lot of creativity.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually learnt my creative side and budgeting.
Yeah.
It's really seriously helped me with my budgeting. It's helped me really think about what I was spending and how I can spend it and how I can spend it more resourcefully.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
looking for discounts. I've been doing a lot of that just recently. The Legoland tickets we had last week were free because
what?
we got Sun tickets, the Sun Savers.
Yeah, I've heard about these for holidays and everything. I need to invest.
So we managed to get free tickets to Legoland, and yeah, so I think the one major thing that I've learned over the last 2 years is how I spend my money.
That's brilliant. I love that because it's such a practical thing. But yeah, I think we become really skilled at hunting out free things and love free stuff and community things. And yeah,
Yeah,
because we're consuming something all day, every day, we have to think about it a little bit more rather than switching our brain off at 9 o'clock. That is really
yeah.
practical. Thank you. So before we go, we've literally got 30 seconds. Can you just tell us really what you is there anything you would change about the home ed community? I know that's a big question, but I like to ask it because I think it's good for us to be challenged about how we can support people more.
Obviously I can't speak for everyone.
Yeah.
It's everyone's going to have different experiences, but for me, this is probably going to sound quite sad as well for the home ed community, but just recently we've met some people out and about where we've been going who haven't been quite so understanding of Freddie and his needs. He's very loud. He likes to scream, he likes to shout, and he likes to cuddle. Now, I've made him fully aware that not every child, obviously everyone's got needs, they're not going to want you in their personal space. But if I could try and have people just a little bit more understanding of other children's needs, if we can all just be a bit more respectful and a bit more understanding of other people's needs, that's the only thing that I have really struggled with myself. We came back from an outing yesterday and I put my son to bed and then I just cried and cried and cried because so many children stepped back from him because he was so loud, and I couldn't calm him down because he was so excited.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that I have found just recently that I will be honest has stopped us from going out a few times.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah, that will be really hard.
But no, apart from that, it's not been too bad really.
Yeah.
From our own personal experience, apart from that, it's not been too bad.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing and being so open as well, because I think it's really helpful because every time I do this, somebody is like, oh yeah, that's exactly me, like me too, we're going through that, and it makes people feel a lot more encouraged and like part of a community, even if it's only through a screen. So thank you so much. That was
thank you.
So can people follow you? I don't know if you've got a private or a public account.
Yeah, no, people can follow me. I'm trying to make use of my Instagram a lot more, especially with my home ed journeys. There is a few things that we've done on there. There is a few experiments. There's a few outings and that. There's a few rubbish things to do with me. But that's the reason why I've changed it as well, because I've changed my name to Home Ed Mama to try and just for the purpose that I want to try and make it more home ed.
Yeah, brilliant.
So yeah, people do.
I will tag you when I put this up. Thank you again. Have a lovely evening.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Bye bye.